There are moments in life when the veil between this world and something far more expansive, something ancient, eternal, and utterly indescribable feels thinner than usual. Maybe it happens in a dream that felt more real than waking life, or during a meditation where your body faded and only awareness remained. Maybe it hits you in the middle of heartbreak, or in the silence between two breaths. In those moments, we catch a glimpse of what the soul has always known. We are not bound by this dimension. We are not just human. We are portals. And there are powers within us so powerful, so pure, so uncontainable that they don't belong to this world alone. They belong to all worlds. These are the 7 spiritual powers that aren't bound by any dimension. And once you awaken them, your life will never be the same again. But let's be clear. These powers aren't about floating above the ground or shooting energy beams from your hands. That's not what real power looks like. Real spiritual power is invisible because it works in silence. It moves through dimensions without being seen. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need attention. It just is. And when you tap into it, you radiate something so magnetic, so ancient, that even people who don't understand it feel it. You walk into a room and the energy shifts. You speak, and people listen not because you're loud, but because your voice carries truth. That's the kind of power we're talking about. Now, before I reveal the first of the 7, I want you to ask yourself something. What if everything you've been taught about power, ambition, control, status was just a distraction from the real thing? What if the most powerful version of you doesn't need anything from the outside world because it already exists across dimensions? Power number 1 is presence beyond time. This is the ability to collapse time through the intensity of your awareness. When you are truly present, so deeply rooted in the now that your mind no longer pulls you into past regrets or future anxiety, you shift the vibration of everything around you. Time bends, time slows. You felt this before, in moments of awe, moments of grief, moments of love, when the clock seemed to stop and something holy entered the space. That's not just a feeling. That's a dimensional power. Your presence becomes so complete that your energy expands into future timelines and rewrites them. This is why people who are deeply conscious seem to manifest so quickly. It's because they're not waiting for the future, they're occupying it now, energetically. The second power is vision through the veil. This isn't about seeing with your eyes. It's about perceiving with your soul. It's the ability to feel what's really going on beneath the surface. You walk into a room and you sense the unspoken pain. You talk to someone and hear the words they aren't saying. You look at the world and see the patterns others miss. This power is not just intuition, it's interdimensional sight. You are seeing through the illusion of the 3D world, through the ego, through the noise. And what you find there is not just information, it's clarity. You stop reacting to life and start responding from a higher timeline. Let me pause here and ask you something deeper. What if the reason you've always felt a little out of place in this world is because your soul was never meant to be limited by it? What if your sensitivity is not a weakness, but a gift that allows you to perceive what others are blind to? The third power is magnetism of truth. This is one of the most misunderstood spiritual energies. Real magnetism doesn't come from being charming or positive. It comes from being authentic, from being so ruthlessly honest with yourself that your energy becomes impossible to fake. And when you speak, people feel it. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because they recognize themselves in your truth. They remember something inside themselves that they forgot. This kind of magnetism transcends dimensions because truth is not bound by language, culture, or even form. It is a frequency. And when you hold that frequency, you don't need to convince anyone. You simply are the evidence. Fourth is stillness that shakes worlds. Most people confuse stillness with passivity. But real stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of source. It is the kind of stillness that can stop a storm. Tat kan silencius. That can hold someone's pain without needing to fix it. This is the power of the mystic, the monk, the awakened one. When you embody this stillness, you're not reacting to life, you're commanding it by your very vibration. And what's wild is that this stillness is not something you create. It's something you remember. It's been with you all along. You just forgot how to access it in the noise of the world. Are you beginning to see the pattern yet? All these powers are not about adding anything to you. They're about removing what was never yours to begin with. The conditioning, the noise, the lies. And what's left is the essence, the eternal part of you that has never been touched by trauma or time. Now imagine this. What would happen if you stopped trying to become powerful and started realizing you already are? What would shift in your life if you stopped operating from effort and started moving from energetic precision? We're just getting started. In the next part, we're going to dive into powers 5, 6, and 7, each one more expansive than the last. These are the keys to shifting reality itself, not just for you, but for everyone around you. We will go beyond time, beyond space, and into the realm where energy creates form. You won't want to miss what's coming.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Most of the world is obsessed with action, hustle, strategy, execution. We're taught that if we want something, we must go out and get it. We must fight, strive, push. But there comes a point in your spiritual evolution when you realize action is not the cause, it's the effect. It's not the engine, it's the echo. The real power, the true mover of mountains, is invisible. It is energy. And the quality of your energy determines the quality of your reality long before your hands ever touch anything. This is the fifth spiritual power, energetic origination, and it is not bound by any dimension. Because energy precedes form, always has, always will. Let's go deeper. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every intention you carry, it all sends out a frequency. That frequency doesn't just bounce around in space. It begins to organize reality around you. Not in a magical, wishful thinking way, but in a deeply structural way. When your energy is aligned, focused, and true, the world starts folding itself to meet you. Opportunities appear. People shift. The right words come. The right moment lands. Not because you forced it, but because you tuned yourself to the timeline where it already exists. This is not manifestation as a theory. This is manifestation as physics. And here's what most people miss. You can't fake this. You can't slap positive thoughts on top of fear and expect transformation. The universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your core signal. That's why people who say all the right affirmations still feel stuck. Because their energetic blueprint is still coded in fear, doubt, or lack. But when you change the signal, when you shift your state, you don't have to chase what you desire. You become the gravitational center that pulls it in. Let me ask you something that may shake you. What if the reason your reality hasn't shifted yet is not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're still broadcasting a signal you've outgrown? What if the new life you want can't land because your old energy is still answering the door? There's something else to understand here. Energy doesn't just create your reality. It influences the field around you. That means your inner alignment or misalignment affects everything you touch. Your relationships, your work, your environment. You felt this. You walk into a room and someone's energy is heavy, and before they even speak, you feel it. Or the opposite. You meet someone who radiates peace, and your nervous system calms instantly. That's not a coincidence. That's energetic architecture. And once you realize that your state is building invisible structures around you every moment, you stop taking your energy lightly. This brings us to the sixth power dimensional, emotional alchemy. This is the ability to feel emotions not as blocks, but as portals. Most people are terrified of their emotions. They suppress them, judge them, spiritualize them away. But what if every emotion you've ever felt, rage, grief, loneliness, longing, was a doorway to another dimension of your own being? What if sadness wasn't something to fix, but something to enter, like a sacred temple buried deep within you, holding wisdom no book could teach? This is emotional alchemy. You don't bypass the feeling, you befriend it. You listen, you breathe with it. And in doing so, you unlock codes that were trapped in your body for lifetimes. When you become emotionally sovereign, you are no longer reactive. You are no longer hijacked by triggers. You become the observer, the witness, the healer. You stop trying to control your emotions and start allowing them to complete their cycle. And when you do, you transmute. You shift density into light, pain into presence. That's how you make space for higher reality to enter your field. Not by escaping emotion, but by honoring it. Now pause for a moment and reflect. What emotion have you been running from your whole life? What sacred message has it been holding, waiting for you to listen without judgment? This brings us to the seventh and final power-conscious dimensional choice. This is the rarest of all. It is the ability to choose your dimension of experience regardless of external conditions. Most people are stuck in unconscious dimensions, fear, scarcity, conflict, because they believe reality is fixed. But the reality you experience is just one layer of a vast energetic spectrum, and you have the power to shift between these layers through choice, not forced positivity, not denial, but deep, unwavering, embodied choice. Think about this. Two people can be in the exact same situation, same job, same relationship, same environment, and have completely different experiences. One sees limitation. The other sees opportunity. One feels cursed. The other feels chosen. What's the difference? Not circumstances, consciousness. One person is operating from a 3D lens. The other is living from a 5D awareness. This is dimensional choice. And once you awaken to it, you stop living by accident. You start living by design. You can choose the dimension of peace, of abundance, of love. Not because everything around you is perfect, but because you've trained your energy to reside there. And when you do, that dimension begins to build itself around you. It's not instant. It's not always easy. But it's inevitable. Because energy follows choice. And choice is the architect of reality. So now I'll ask you the deepest question yet. What dimension are you unconsciously living in right now? And what would it take for you to make a conscious leap into a higher one, not someday, but now? We've journeyed through all 7 spiritual powers, presence beyond time, vision through the veil, magnetism of truth, stillness that shakes worlds, energetic origination, emotional alchemy, and dimensional choice. These powers are not fantasy. They're not reserved for the elite. They are your birthright. They already exist within you. You don't need to earn them. You only need to remember. And in the final part, we're going to bring it all together. What happens when you live these powers fully? What kind of life unfolds when you stop being a seeker and start being a source? The answer will not only shift your life, it might shift the dimension you're living in. There's a moment when the spiritual path stops being about seeking answers and starts being about becoming the answer. You stop chasing teachings. You stop looking for signs. You stop waiting for something outside of you to validate what you already feel deep in your bones. In that moment, something ancient awakens. A memory, a knowing, a whisper from timelines beyond this one. The realization that you were never just a student of the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself through one unique, irreplaceable expression. You. This is what it means to become the source. To live as a multidimensional being in a 3D world. The 7 spiritual powers we've explored: presence beyond time, vision through the veil, magnetism of truth, stillness that shakes worlds, energetic origination, emotional alchemy, and conscious dimensional choice are not tools you use once in a while. They are states of being. And when you embody them fully, you don't just influence your own life. You become a living transmission. Your presence becomes a doorway for others to walk through. Without effort, without preaching. Just by being. But here's where it gets real. Living as a multidimensional being in a 3D world is not always smooth. It's not always celebrated. The world will often react with confusion, resistance, even fear. Why? Because your very existence challenges the illusion. You become a mirror that reflects back what others are avoiding. Your clarity unsettles their chaos. Your peace disturbs their patterns. Your freedom exposes their cages. And if you're not rooted in your own energy, you'll start shrinking to make others comfortable. You'll start doubting the path that brought you here. You'll start questioning your own light. So let me say this clearly. You were not born to be understood by a system designed to keep people asleep. You were born to disrupt the sleep, to shake it, to crack open the walls between dimensions so that others could remember. Your life is not a mistake. Your sensitivity, your depth, your visions, your wild emotions, none of it is too much. It's exactly what's needed, but it must be honored. It must be owned. It must be lived, and that requires discipline. Not the kind of discipline rooted in shame or guilt, but sacred discipline. The kind that says, I remember who I am, even when the world forgets. You must protect your frequency like it's a sacred fire, because it is. Every thought you entertain, every environment you choose, every relationship you nourish, it all becomes part of the field you're radiating. And that field is not just for you, it's for the collective. The more aligned you are, the more portals you open for others without even trying. Ask yourself this: what would change if I fully accepted that I am a living, breathing bridge between dimensions? What would I stop tolerating? What would I start creating? This isn't about being perfect. It's about being whole, about showing up in every moment as if your energy is the most important contribution you could ever make, because it is. When you embody presence, when you speak truth without agenda, when you hold stillness in chaos, you are doing more for the evolution of this planet than 1,000 sermons ever could. You are anchoring a new reality. You are rewriting the grid. Being the source means you stop outsourcing your power. You stop waiting for signs. You become the sign. You become the synchronicity. You become the miracle someone else didn't know they were praying for. And the wildest part? You don't even have to try. Because the more you become, the less you have to do. Your frequency does the work. Your alignment does the speaking. Your embodiment does the transmission. But to live this way, you must trust yourself more than ever before. You must trust your inner yes, even when it makes no sense. You must trust your intuition, even when it contradicts logic. You must trust your vision, even when there's no evidence yet. You must trust your heartbreak, your anger, your joy, your silence. All of it is sacred. All of it belongs. All of it is guiding you home, not to a place, but to a state of being that no dimension can contain. So I ask you, with full presence, are you ready to stop waiting for permission and start radiating your truth as if the world depends on it? Because it does. Not in some abstract, poetic way, but in the most real, grounded, energetic sense. Your embodiment is medicine. The systems around us are crumbling. The old paradigm is fading. And in the chaos, a new frequency is rising, not from governments, not from institutions, but from individuals who have remembered who they are, from souls who are no longer bound by dimension, from beings like you who came here not to fit in, but to anchor in something that's never been seen before. A new way of being, a new way of living. A new earth. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are waking up, and that awakening is not just for you. It's for all of us. When you live as the source, you become a lighthouse, not by shouting, but by shining. And those who are ready will find you. They always do. In the final part, we'll go even deeper. We'll explore what happens when this level of embodiment reaches its peak, when you're not just living multidimensionally, but creating realities that others begin to step into. This is the ultimate expression of spiritual power, reality design, creation through frequency, healing through presence, legacy through vibration. There is a moment on the path after you've remembered who you are, after you've stopped running from your own power, when the question shifts from who am I to what am I truly capable of creating. And when that question arises from deep embodiment, not from ego or hunger, something remarkable begins to happen. You realize you were never here just to navigate this world. You were here to reshape it, not by force, not by argument, not by domination, but through the quiet, consistent emission of your frequency. This is the final unlock, Reality designed the ability to create worlds through vibration, not effort. We've been taught that reality is fixed, that you have to work within it, fight inside it, or escape from it. But that's the old paradigm. The truth is, reality is responsive. It's listening to you. Not your words, not your wishes, but your vibration, your state, your energetic consistency. And when you're anchored in your truth, when you live from alignment rather than performance, you start to notice something surreal. Reality bends. It opens. It begins to meet you in ways that feel orchestrated, divine, impossible to predict, yet utterly perfect. This isn't theory. This is observable. You've felt it before. That moment when you let go of control and suddenly the right person appears. That time when you stopped chasing and what you needed found you. That whisper in your soul that said, wait, and everything aligned the moment you did. These aren't coincidences. They're evidence. Proof that you've always been co-creating with reality, not through will, but through resonance. To design reality, you must become impeccable with your frequency. That doesn't mean being in a constant state of bliss. That's a misunderstanding. It means being congruent, honest, aligned. When you're angry, you feel it fully and consciously. When you're joyful, you let it expand unfiltered. When you're uncertain, you stay grounded in trust. That level of energetic transparency makes you powerful beyond comprehension, because nothing leaks from you. Nothing is suppressed. Every part of you is heard, seen, honored. And that inner coherence sends out a signal so clear that life can't help but respond. Here's the deepest truth I can offer you. Reality is not something you walk through. It's something that walks through you. You are not experiencing life, you are transmitting it. Every thought, every feeling, every intention is contributing to the field. And the more conscious you become of that, the more refined your creations become. You stop reacting and start sculpting. You stop surviving and start composing. You stop waiting and start receiving with precision. But let's go even further, because this isn't just about creating your dream life. It's about creating dream worlds, energetic ecosystems, fields of frequency that extend beyond your immediate life and begin to influence the collective. This is how movements begin. This is how healing spreads. This is how timelines shift, not through mass manipulation, but through concentrated alignment. One being fully activated, walking in their truth, can ripple through generations. That's not poetic. That's energetic law. Ask yourself this now, not as a thought experiment, but as a sacred activation. If my frequency creates form, what world am I unconsciously building every day? And what world would I build if I fully trusted my power? You see, we've reached the point where you no longer need more information. You don't need another guru. You don't need another technique. You need to decide. Decide to live as if your energy is the architect of the future, because it is. Decide to speak as if your words are spells, because they are. Decide to move as if your steps send shock waves through space-time, because they do. This is the invitation. Not to become something new, but to unveil what has always been here. You are not just a person. You are a multidimensional architect. You are not just a seeker. You are a source code carrier. You are not just alive. You are activating life itself. So now at the end of this journey, I ask you the final question, the one that echoes across lifetimes and dimensions. If you fully remembered that you are here to create worlds, not just survive them, how would you live right now? Don't answer with words. Answer with vibration. Answer with presence. Answer with your next breath, your next step, your next act of radical alignment. Because the world you want to see isn't waiting for someone to build it. It's waiting for you to become it. And once you do, everything changes. Not because reality gave you permission, but because you became the permission. You became the new world. You always were. And now you remember.